Hello everybody, this is Ducey, and today we are in EncounterPlus again, looking at how to import a map and to set it up with line of sight, fog of war. We'll look at adding some assets to the map. You could theoretically build your whole map all in here just with what we're looking at today. Now, most of the time I import pre-made maps and tweak them a little bit. You will learn the basics, enough of the basics here that you could create your own map from scratch. I am not as well versed in doing that here in Encounter Plus. So if any of you have any tips on that stuff, let me know them and we can make a follow-up video that's really focused around building a map from scratch. But today you will still learn enough that you can get started building your own map from scratch for sure. But I'm going to start with importing some maps. So I'm going to go to the campaign that we set up in a previous video. If you don't have a campaign, you can go make one. Go check out that video and you'd hit one of these other buttons, but this button takes us straight to the campaign. I'm going to go to chapter 2 here that's nice and empty for us, hit the plus button and get started by bringing in a new map. And I always like to start off by naming it. Amazing map. Cool. Okay. Now this map editing window, we could be in here the whole time and just edit in here and be good to go, but something that's cool is if we load this map, which we have here now, if we go make these changes here, they will automatically save back to that map if we make changes while we're playing with it in here. So for now, I'm just going to be in this view where we're making changes. If we go to the gear, and in the first video, I kind of went through these mostly in order and hit most of them. This time I'm going to go in the order that I actually tend to use them in. So I usually start by importing a map by hitting the gear, scroll past all this great stuff, and go to image, browse files, and we're going to load this map in. Some of you that have been around a while might recognize this sample map from the DMG. And you'll notice, though, that there's kind of two grids, this light gray grid and the black grid that came with the map. So the light gray one right now is EncounterPlus's grid, and you'll notice that it doesn't quite match up with the actual map. This is one of my favorite features of EncounterPlus. I've wasted so much time in other systems trying to line up the grids, but I'm going to hit grid align here, and I'm just going to bring this like I could do it right over here, and you just line it up, make sure it's just right. I like to zoom in whenever possible on this kind of stuff so we can really see it well. Line it up, hit the blue line again and hit confirm, and it creates that grid for us and we'll have it all matched up. Now some maps, I've noticed as I'm playing with this map that this map actually, no matter how perfectly I try to align the grid, parts of it are off a little bit because they didn't make it an exact overlay of 1 inch. And sometimes that happens, but usually if I'm close enough, I'm happy. But you can also come in here manually and tweak it just a hair on your own. You can change the size a little bit and then change the offset by hand if you needed to tweak it and you're having a hard time getting it just right. But most of the time, I find that grid align does a fabulous job. Now, this map is actually interesting. It's 1 square equals 10 feet. This is that old school size instead of 5 feet. So we're here playing 5e, 5th edition. We want this to actually be 5-foot squares, at least for the snapping. We can keep that there, but for snapping, it's going to help us a lot if our tokens are all the correct size of 5-foot squares. So I'm going to zoom in a lot here. Okay. And I'm going to hit the gear again, grid align again, and this time, if one of these squares is supposed to be 10 feet, then that means it should look something like this, where one square is being split in half, and these ones kind of come halfway through another square. So I'm going to do my best to get that as close to exact as I can. It's not always perfect when especially maps that were made without virtual tabletops in mind. It's great when someone's made this for virtual tabletops in mind because it lines up absolutely perfectly. And because, you know, this grid goes all places that we don't need it to, and this map already has a grid on it, we can just turn this grid off. And the grid is still there. It'll still allow us to snap. It just doesn't show it anymore. We just know that these are 10-foot squares instead of 5-foot squares in this case. Cool. So we've imported a map that we can use. I want to show you, if you want to make a map from scratch, it's going to be the same process as bringing in individual items into this map. So let's make a little bit of room here. I'm just going to open up my Finder. Got it here somewhere. There we go. And let's just grab, I love 2-minute tabletop, so I'm going to grab some furniture from 2-minute tabletop. And I don't know, we've got a chair, a royal chair, simple chair, an armchair. Let's do an armchair. There we go. And it automatically assumes that this asset is going to be one square, not one of the map squares, but one of the grid squares that we made already. And you can change that. You can obviously just grab this and resize it to whatever you want, change the rotation here. And you know what? I also saw in here earlier some like armor somewhere that I think would be cool. There it is. Decoration, suit of armor. Cool. So I'm going to drop that off into this corner. You know, it's D&D. You know that this armor's coming alive at some point. All right. We can copy it. I just clicked on it. I didn't right click. I just did a normal click on it to get that menu. And copied it. So a quick way to duplicate it. And there we go. So we've added some little simple decorations. And you know what? Here's let's put a rug in here. Let's put a rug. I was going to say this was definitely not real bearskin, but, you know, this was, who knows what world this is in. Okay. So, that's a big bear. You get the idea. You can add stuff in, and you could build, theoretically, an entire map on your own from scratch using those same principles. And if you're on iOS, like on an iPad, you can bring up Safari over here on the right and drag images straight in from Safari. Super cool. Just do that split screen multitasking. Okay. So we've got a map. We've got some stuff in there. Let's start to build it out so that when we use the second screen, players can't just see the whole map right off from the bat. Okay. So right now, if we were presenting this map, we could. And I'm not going to get too much into second screen stuff, but I just want to give you a quick look at it. We'll have a whole video just on second screen, but I want to give you a quick look at what I'm talking about when I say line of sight and fog of war. Okay, if I long press or right click, long press on iOS, right click on the Mac here, and hit present, it is going to present this over here in this other window. So you could have this window up on a TV or AirPlay, you know, that sort of thing. And if we have some fog of war, I'm going to hit this and turn on fog of war. You can see that it's completely blacked out over here, but we are just kind of grayed out. We've got an eyeball here. And if I click that eyeball tool, it's set to squares and to reveal. So the slash through the eyeball means don't show me, and the eyeball means show me. And right now we're kind of locking into squares. So as the players, let's say they're walking along this area, I can click there and it says tap inside to reveal. Now they can see that area. And I missed a little bit. There we go. So you can see it's real easy to just reveal the map as you go. This is a great way to go without needing to set anything up ahead of time. Oh, nope, they're going to come around this window now. Or this area. There we go. Perfect. And, you know, these diagonals that aren't going to be perfect with this, well, we just click this eyeball. We switch to circle, or, you know, kind of ad hoc here. We can do whatever shape we want, not just circles. There we go. Now we've revealed that section. And if we messed up, or if they leave and we don't want them to see what's there anymore, we can click on this and just draw around the area we want to reveal. There you go. So that's Fog of War. That's pretty much it. That part's done. Easy peasy. You could, you know, decide, well, I wouldn't want to show secret door, but you could decide to show some of this stuff down here so the players know what all these things mean. Oops, I'm in the wrong mode. There we go. But that's Fog of War. And you could pre-set up. Sometimes I'll have like a cottage out in the woods. I'll have the woods with no fog of war. I'll erase all the fog of war around the woods, and then I'll have the fog of war just inside of the cottage. So you could pre-set up a map that way and save it. It saves automatically. It will remember that. Let's see here. Okay. So next we're going to do line of sight. It's easiest to show line of sight without also doing fog of war, but you can do them both at the same time if you want to. But I'm going to turn fog of war off and turn line of sight on. Now, our dude, Thorin Stoneheart, is around here somewhere, but if you ever don't move, just go to that little button to make sure you can pan. But I don't know where, and I don't care where, because I can summon him to wherever I need him to be. by double clicking or double tapping and doing place party. The whole party will warp right to here. Cool. Let's move up a little bit. And you can see right here in this area, there's already a light set to this player. It is by default, and you could change the light size. And another map or another video will look at like tweaking all that stuff. But the problem is this dude can see right through walls. Like Thorin is quite the that's some extra dark vision there. So we need to set up these walls so that he can't see through. So I'm going to click this layers button again and go to the wall layer. Cool. Now, all we do is grab the pen, and we could change these colors to anything we want. You know, I'm going to do like a yellow just so it's real easy to see. And I'm going to do the straight line tool because we'd be making a lot of straight lines here. I can just set up these walls, and you can see as I set them up, you got to be careful with the corners that you cross over completely when you're doing this. Cool. Now Thorin cannot see through that wall anymore. Oop, I missed him. There we go. So you could just go through and draw out all the walls like that and be done. See, I missed a corner. Got to fix that. So just go back to drawing. Let's just cross out that corner. Cool. So that's one way to make these walls. And again, you could draw a whole bunch of different ways. You could draw squares out. You can just scribble in any direction. So that's good for when you need to do things that aren't perfectly matched up. But let's talk about floors for a second. Oops, I keep doing that. Got to undo. Switch to the pan tool when we want to move a little bit. Another way to make walls is to switch to the floor layer. And now when I draw, it's going to fill in entire squares. And remember, we set these to be half-size squares. Okay. So I'm just going to fill in this room here. Yep. Oop, I went too far. We'll fix that in a second. And now I'm just going to fill in all this. Again, I could go follow all of the walls through this whole thing first, but I'm just going to do a section at a time. Let me go to the erase tool, fix the ones that I messed up. Cool. Now, when I hit the gear, I can scroll all the way down and do the wall generator. And based on the floors that I've put in, it will automatically create walls along the edge. Right now, it would be perfectly edged without any offset, but if I turn it up, it'll push it out just a little bit and let them see a little bit deeper, a little bit past the edges of the walls there. Continuous means it would make a single piece. I'm going to turn that off. As it says here, it's more efficient to use continuous, but it's harder to change later. I'm going to turn that off because I often have to change it later. So I hit generate, and you see it automatically made that wall for me, and because I did that 7 pixel inset there, it kind of pushed it off a little bit. Didn't work so great for these doors, but worked great for a lot of the rest of it there. So you can handle that offset however you want, but that is a great quick way to make these walls. And if we bring Thorin in, pan tool, there we go, this guy, you'll see that that's working. Nice. So you could go through with the floors and set up the floors across everything. Now, there is a little trick I want to show you with floors. And to show it to you, I need to add another player character. So we'll hit the 3 dots up there, insert creatures, player character. Here I am, going to put myself right in this campaign. Dropped me off right there. Going to grab this multi-select tool and highlight this. And if I move around, you'll see I've got it set to snake. I can move the whole party this way and they would all snake around. You can change how that movement happens up here in settings under party movement, snake, standard, or group. Go play with those, see how those all work. But you'll notice that I do not follow through those walls, and it's not the walls that's blocking me, it's the floor that's blocking me. It is not a walkable area. Let me switch back to the wall, the floor layer. There we go. Now, even if I take him out through here, I can still cut through by hand that way, and I highlight both of them. He's still not coming with me because he's only going to follow on the walkable area. Now, if I had no floors, he would follow me across the entire map. But as soon as I put a single floor down, he will only follow me onto floors if I'm doing group movement. So that's one reason why you may want to floor out the entire area, even if you're drawing your walls by hand. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to mention you can do floors all in different colors, so you could do all the different rooms different colors. But if you do different colors, then the tokens will not follow across color changes. So you can intentionally kind of put out different areas, especially if they're different different heights. That might make sense, so they don't automatically fall off a cliff or something like that. So those colors can have some importance to them because the following will not cross across different color floors. Got it? Good. So we've got floors. We've got walls made. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other thing. Oh, there is one little trick that we should definitely know about the walls, which is that the cyan color blocks line of sight but not movement. So there are, when you've got players moving their own tokens, for example, or if you click this and you move into this mode of movement here, this other button here with the minus on it, that is going to make it so that you can't move through those walls. Okay, but let's say there's a window or a door. Doors are actually a great place to do this. Let's go back to the wall layer. I'm going to erase this whole line. Notice the whole line leaves. So I'm going to draw yellow back in just right to where the door is. But if I move this to cyan, that color right there, I'll do a straight thing. There we go. And put a line here. Now it blocks vision. If I move this a little bit, you'll be able to see that it does indeed block the vision, but it will not block movement. It will let me through there. So you can do door cyan and everything else, any color, really. And that's also, if you wanted to delete those, it makes it a little easier to see that there's a door there. And as you're going, you can say, you open the door and peek in, and you just erase that one little piece and lets them peek in there. Cool. So we have added images, added video, added objects, placed those objects. We've looked at some of the layers. There's a few other layers that we should look at, though, for map making, which are map layer, object layer, and token layer. If I were to bring in, I'm going to bring in something on the map layer here. Let's get my Finder window back. I'm going to bring this stuff in here, but if you are on your iPad, sometimes it might be easier to load map objects in here. Hit the plus button, hit tile, and go find, here's where the asset is. Click in here and go find that image. Sometimes that might be helpful if you're not in a position where you can drag it in real easy. But again, that you can drag most of these in pretty quickly by on iOS by doing the split screen stuff. So if we add something to the map layer, and you know what? Let's actually just move what we've got in here already instead of adding something new first. And you notice it's not even let me select this because I'm not on the object layer, the layer that it was at when I added it. It's probably to the token layer. So here's the object layer. Actually, let me go to the token layer. Click on this and see I can move this in the Z up and down, but I can also say what layer does it belong on. So the map layer is basically stuff you're not going to be moving very much. If you've got a big grass tile like this forest glade, you could bring it in as the map layer. If you do object layer, that's nice to have because maybe you don't want to accidentally be clicking this all the time. Oh, got to switch to the object layer because I moved it. And that's exactly the point. Is when I'm on the token layer, moving my tokens around, I don't want to accidentally, let me switch to normal movement where I can pass through walls. I don't want to accidentally be selecting this thing all the time. So I put it on the object layer, but this is a token on the token layer that I'm moving around a lot. But then if someone did say I burn the bear rug or I roll it up and I take it with me, then I could switch to the object layer, grab that object and delete it, hide it, whatever I want to do there. So these are just giving you lots of options. And then the DM layer, anything there does not show up at all. So if I had some sort of graphic, let me move to this. If I had some sort of graphic that I wanted to have for like this S is built into the map, but maybe I want to put an S on the DM layer. Let's say there's a secret path right here. I can go to the DM layer, grab this, and let's do it a nice bright red and thick so I can see it myself and remember that there's a, ooh, that's not what I wanted. Not straight lines. There we go. There's a secret path right there. My players, cannot see that secret path because it's on the DM layer. So that's another way. Again, I could hide it as well like we did with this. Lots of options for how you want to work that. So that's how those layers work. Use them however works best for you. Now, I showed you adding markers before, but I just want to reiterate. Let's just go straight to my campaign. If I've got encounters made, I can drop those encounters off into different rooms in here. Just hit save, and now I've got a quick link to that encounter, and I can quickly load it up. If I'm on the right tool, I can quickly load it up, and it would drop that encounter right into here. Or again, just like I made encounters in the last one, make the encounters, save them one at a time, and start to drop these markers in. You can mess with markers by hand under this map objects. So we've got the objects we brought in, but we've also got the goblin ambush marker. For whatever reason, I find that way of dragging them in to make the markers much faster, but sometimes I need to make a marker that's not related to anything else. I can just hit the plus button, make a marker, and maybe we'll do those secret doors. This is another way you could do secret door or secret whatever. Gonna hit save, and let's zoom in a little bit. Bonk, 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 bonk. Here's that secret. Let's move it wherever we want to put it, right there. Cool. And again, this is by default not visible to the players. But there might be times when maybe it becomes visible because they found that secret door, right? You could put a description in there as well. Let me edit it from here. You could put a description. Press the third block to open. I don't know, whatever. And then when you click it, you will get that description to help remind you what that was. Now I'm going to show you, we've been working with like encounter level maps. Very quickly, I want to show you another use for these markers that I just absolutely love. Let's make another map. But this time, I'm going to go find a map that is not of a dungeon, but is of an area. We're going to hit this gear, go to the image. I'm going to go load up this Phandalin map. And I use the PC version of this map because, let's just turn the grid off. I want to add in my own tokens or my own markers for what these all are. I could have brought the one then that has everything labeled. But now I can just start making markers. Oh, and you know what? Faster way. Double click. Okay, so I'm going to double click here, new marker, and say this is the inn. And we can color code them. We can change the size of these guys. Let's get in here. I'm going to actually swipe to edit here. Here we go. It's medium, but based on the size I've done, let's make it huge. Let's make it blue. Save. Cool. So now it's nice and big for me to be able to see that there. Add another mark over here. This is I think this is the Lion Shield Coster, but I'm just going to call it the shop. Okay. So you can mark this stuff up in here. And as your players, let me present this map. I'm going to save it. Going to load it. Going to right click or long press and present. And now they can see what I'm looking at here, my players. There we go. But they don't see these. So I can go to edit these. That's if you just click on it a second time, it'll bring you to edit. That's one of the many ways to get here. And unhide them as they find these different areas in the map. And now another cool thing that you could do is, let's say I put a marker here and I say this marker goes to I don't know, the dungeon. Okay, this one goes to the dungeon. Actually, that feels like it might be like in the side over here. Cool. Well, now I can edit this marker. It's faster if I click this and go to edit. I can edit this marker and reference. I can go find anything that I've made. A monster. In this case, I'm going to go to another map that I've made already. It could be an item, whatever we want. There. And now from this map, you can click it, there it is, and you can load in the dungeon map. So you can kind of create a whole network of maps using markers that way. So the very last thing, I mentioned line of sight earlier. I just want to show you where you can find it without doing too deep of a dive. You can change on people or on any of these objects. Let me get on the right layer here. Object layer, like for this. Let's say this. Let's say this is going to glow. We can edit this guy. Line of sight is disabled, or vision is disabled. We're going to make it a light source here. 20 foot, 40 foot. Type in whatever you want there. We can even give it a bit of a color if we want. And always visible. If turned off, the light source could be blocked by walls and such. So, save. Let's present this map so you can see what's happening. Right click. So it's not showing up right now because there's no line of sight. We're seeing an edge of it because of that there. There we go. There's no line of sight to it, but if I came out here, you can see that even though I'm not next to it, it is now emitting a light. But this is saying line of sight. You still have to have line of sight to it. Well, I believe if we edit and say always visible under line of sight, now it's always visible even if we don't have line of sight to it. The glowing invisible, because I think I hit it earlier. Yep, hidden rug. There you go. Now, there's one last thing that I want to show everybody. I'm going to make one last map. Well, there's a couple things in here. Going to make this map. Going to hit the little gear down here. And we're going to add a video. I love that this supports video. This is so cool. So I'm going to pick up this. This is a great map from Dynamic Dungeons, Goblin Ambush. Gridless, so we can put our own grid on here, make it whatever size we want. We don't have to worry about lining it up. And there it is, moving right there, and your players will see that motion as well. Very cool. This does not work over the internet yet with the web player, but for your in-person games, you definitely can do this. So let me just go ahead and hit save here. I'm going to load this up. And what's cool here, well, there's a lot of things cool here, but I want to talk about line of sight with daylight while we're here. So let's place my party, double click, place party. There we are, right on top of each other. And I'm going to put a couple of walls in here super fast. So I've made it so that people can't see up these. For outdoor ones, I might not normally do that, but you can imagine that if there's a, if there was like a cottage or something over here, I could put lines around the cottage just as easily. And with trees, a little cool trick is that you can just put little X's over the trees if you don't want them to see. These could be pillars, stalagmites, stalactites, if you don't want them to really see through that super well and you want to see what the line of sight is. Now let me actually turn on line of sight with this. There we go. And the thing here, it is certainly working, but it's outside in the middle of the day, and my people here, my players, they can't see more than 60 feet or whatever. You can see how that blocks the tree line of sight. You could do circles, but I like the X, kind of shows more. And it's blocking there, and it's blocking inside of the quote-unquote cottage, but they can only see 60 feet or 40 feet or whatever it's set to. So that is where we come to the gear, and we turn up some daylight. Now we could turn up just a little bit of daylight, so it's kind of dim still, or we could say full-blown daylight, and now they can see forever, not just in, they don't have that darkness that they're in with the light of whatever their dark vision or their lanterns or their torches are. So yeah, that is the idea there. Oh, and if you're wondering why some of these trees are like, wait, why can I see behind? It's because it's being rendered from both of these people here. So if I put it back here, you'll see. There you go. What that looks like. If you had a cottage up here, again, this daylight line of sight is a great way to do that. And then you can pop into the cottage, pop out. You could erase the walls once you want to let them see it. But also, sometimes if you're doing a map like this, just to take it back to what we started with the beginning, fog of war, you can, erase a ton of the fog of war. I do this often. Or I'll just erase all the fog of war. And then I'll just put fog of war over where the cottage is. And now they can't see into there. but I don't have to deal with all of the line of sight stuff. You know, sometimes on these outdoor maps, I'm less worried about line of sight as I'm in a dungeon, so I just want to do Fog of War over some structure, and that's it. So those are a couple of tricks for when you're doing outdoor stuff, some other ways that you can run line of sight and Fog of War. So that's the basics of importing maps, getting them all set up with line of sight. You can put torches in. You can link maps to each other with markers. You can link encounters to your map with markers. You can set the flooring to decide where people can move in the group movement, if it's walkable or not. You've got this button over here that lets you either move your person everywhere or restrict movement to not going through walls. And that should get you going to be able to set up any map that you've got or that you've built yourself for your players to be able to interact with it and to restrict vision and all that cool stuff that you want to do. So check out our previous videos on the overview and just doing general prep, and we will dive more into running things with a second screen. We've got the basics, but we can do a whole video on running things with a second screen coming up soon. Thanks.